Hi friends, I have some really great news for you. My daughter Sandy is an ASL interpreter, so that's an American Sign Language interpreter. And she's been doing some YouTube videos, which you may have seen. So we're collaborating now, and I'm going to read a story, and then I will send her the story and the book, my video, and then she's going to translate it, and then we will put the two together and make some lovely videos for you, for kids and adults. So the very first one I really wanted to do is this book called It Could Always Be Worse. It's a kind of fun one, and it's one of my favorites that I like to read for story time because it's silly. It Could Always Be Worse. And this is told by Margaret Zemek. It could always be worse. It's a Yiddish folk tale, and it's retold. And Margot Zemek did the illustrations as well. Once upon a time, in a small village, let me get this so you can see it. There we go. A poor, unfortunate man lived with his mother, his wife, and his 6 children in a little one-room hut. Because they were so crowded, the man and his wife often argued. The children were noisy and they fought. In winter, when the nights were long and the days were cold, life was especially hard, and the hut was full of crying and quarreling. One day, when the poor, unfortunate man couldn't stand it anymore, he ran to the rabbi for advice. Holy Rabbi, things are so bad, in a bad way, and they're getting worse. We are so poor that my mother, my wife, my 6 children, and I all live together in one little hut. We are too crowded, and there's so much noise. Help me, Rabbi. I'll do whatever you say. So the rabbi thought and pulled on his beard, and at last he said, "Tell me, my poor man, do you have any animals? Perhaps a chicken or two?" "Yes," said the man, "I do have some chickens, also a rooster and a goose." "Ah," said the rabbi, "go home, take the chickens, the rooster, and the goose into your hut to live with you." "Oh, yes, indeed, Rabbi," said the man, though he was a bit surprised. The poor, unfortunate man hurried home and took the chickens and the rooster and the goose out of the shed and into the hut. When some days or a week had gone by, life in the hut was worse than before. Now with the quarreling and crying, there was honking, crowing, clucking. There were feathers in the soup. The hut stayed just as small, and the children grew bigger. And when the poor, unfortunate man could not stand it any longer, he ran again to the rabbi for help. "Holy Rabbi, see what a misfortune has befallen me. Now with the crying and quarreling, with the honking, clucking, and crowing, there are feathers in my soup. Help me, please, Rabbi. It could not be worse." The rabbi listened and thought, and he said, "Tell me, do you happen to have a goat?" "Oh, yes, I do have an old goat, but he's not worth much." "Excellent," said the rabbi. "Go home, take the old goat into your hut to live with you." "Ah, no, do you mean it, Rabbi?" cried the man. "Come on, come now, my good man, do as I say at once," said the rabbi. The poor, unfortunate man tramped back home with his head hanging down, and he took the old goat into his hut. When some days or a week had gone by, life in the little hut was much, much worse. Now, with the crying and quarreling, clucking, honking, crowing, the goat went wild, pushing and butting everyone with his horns. The hut seemed smaller. The children grew bigger. And when the poor, unfortunate man could not stand it another minute, he again went to the rabbi. "Holy Rabbi, help me," he screamed. "Now the goat is running wild and my life is a nightmare." The rabbi listened and thought, and then he said, "Tell me, my poor man, is it possible that you might have a cow? Young or old, it does not matter." "Rabbi, it's true I have a cow," said the poor man fearfully. "Well, go home then," said the rabbi, "and take the cow into your hut." "Oh, no, surely not, Rabbi," cried the man. "Do it at once," said the rabbi. The poor, unfortunate man trudged home with a heavy heart, and he took the cow into his hut. "Is the rabbi crazy?" he thought. When some days or a week had gone by, life in that hut was very much worse than before. What? Everyone quarreled, even the chickens. The goat ran wild. The cow trampled everything. The poor man could hardly believe his misfortune. At last, when he could stand it no longer, he ran to the rabbi for help. "Rabbi, help me! Save me! The end of the world has come. The cow is trampling everything. There is no room even to breathe. It is worse than a nightmare." The rabbi listened and thought, and he said, "Go home now, my poor unfortunate man, and let the animals out of your hut." I will do that right away," said the man. The poor, unfortunate man hurried home and let the cow, the goat, the chickens, the goose, and the rooster out of his little hut. That night the poor man and all his family slept peacefully. There was no crowing, no clucking, no honking. There was plenty of room to breathe. The very next day, the poor man ran back to the rabbi. "Holy Rabbi," he said, "you have made life sweet for me. With just my family in that hut, it is so quiet, so roomy, so peaceful. What a pleasure. It Could Always Be Worse" by Margot Zemek.